California. Since the early days of primitive track conditions and facilities in the 1950s, the name Pomona has come to mean only the best in NHRA championship drag racing. Into the 60s, the legend grew, along with the fame of West Coast racers like McEwen and Prudhomme. Throughout the history of the Winternationals, Pomona has hosted the great innovators, like 1971's debut of the rear-engine dragster by Don Garlits. And thus, as the event attracted ever larger crowds, the facility began to feel the strain, even though legends such as Garlits, Shirley Muldowney, and Raymond Beadle continued to add to the aura of Pomona. Today, however, things have changed as we join NHRA in unveiling the newly renovated and thoroughly modern facility at the LA County Fairplex, still known simply as Pomona. TNN Motorsports proudly presents live coverage of the 33rd annual NHRA Cheap Auto Parts Winternationals. Hello everyone, I'm Steve Evans. If you missed our pre-race show just moments ago, shame on you. But we'll give you a break and reiterate again who our finalists are, beginning with our Valvoline ladder in Top Fuel. Let's take a look at it from round 2 down. A real shocker happened. The fans couldn't quite believe what they saw. The new national record holder, Corey McClanahan, then red-lighted away a shot at this Winternationals crown up against Tommy Johnson Jr. But it was Joe Amato who handled Ed McCullough in that second round with identical lapse times, one of the greatest races we have ever seen. Amato then got by Tommy Johnson Jr. to earn his way into the final round. Now his opponent when he gets there will be Kenny Bernstein, who handled Tony Pedregon in round number 2. Bernstein then tangled with Doug Herbert. He took Herbert with a great reaction time. In fact, Bernstein's reaction times have been absolutely unbelievable. Now for the funny car slant on things, here's the senior editor of Car and Driver magazine, Brock Yates.
Well, Steve, John Force is in the finals. That's not big news. But the interesting part of the story is that 2 of the 3 men he beat ran lower ETs than he did. Here's how that happened. In the first round, he beat Whit Bazemore, who actually beat him a 5.11 to a 5.12, but Bazemore crossed the line near the finish line and was disqualified. He then beat Jack Wyatt pretty easily, and then against Dale Poldy, he again theoretically lost the ET race, 5.13 to a 5.15, but excellent driving and an excellent reaction time, won for Force. Now he is going to face young Del Worsham, 22 years old. Worsham had a little bit easier time of it. He beat Chuck Etchels, who shut off early in the first round, then got by Wyatt Radke, and finally a good tough race against Al Hoffman. So John Force and Del Worsham in the finals. Force with a 5.15 against a 5.22 lane choice. So John Force versus Del Worsham. Now, more on the Pro Stock story. Let's go to Bob Fry.
Thanks, Brock. The Pro Stock story, in a word, has been Warren Johnson. Johnson, coming out of the #1 qualifying spot, opened up with a very strong win over Vince Curie. Then he took out Bruce Allen in the rear and Morrison car in that second round. And in the third, he beat Ray Franks. And I might add, the surprising Ray Franks to get to the finals. Meanwhile, Scott Jeffrey in the Dodge, coming out of the other side of the ladder. Very strong opening round against Mike Thomas. Then he came out and took out Mark Powick in the second round. And in the third round, he handled half of this Johnson family when he beat Kurt Johnson in that semifinal. It's Warren Johnson, Scott Jeffrey in the finals. It's pretty much the way here people in Pro Stock wanted to see it.
This special presentation of American Sports Cavalcade is being brought to you by Valvoline. People who know use Valvoline. And by Mopar Parts and Chrysler Corporation's dealers who sell and install them. And by Budweiser, the king of beers, with that fresh, pure, natural taste, nothing beats a Bud.
Already out on the pad is the reigning Winston champion among the factory hot rod set, the Pro Stockers, that of course being Warren Johnson. He is racing a young man that he tutored into the sport, Scott Jeffrey, who has never won a final round. He's right up there with John Force as far as runner-up. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We are back live at Pomona Raceway in Southern California. The Cheap Auto Parts Winternationals Pro Stock Final. Warren Johnson, WJ, the professor. Call him what you want. Call him the reigning Winston champion. He will be up against, in just moments, Scott Jeffrey in the short wheelbase Dodge Daytona, a machine that can be a real handle. Before they got in the cars, I talked to both drivers, beginning with Scott. You need a great light.
Yeah, but, you know, we've been consistent today in that department, so Warren's going to have to give it his all, and I'm sure he will.
Have you got more power? Can you get more power out of the studs to go with your driving?
We sure do. You know, this Mopar Parts Dodge Daytona, this thing really hasn't made a straight run here all weekend, and when it does, it'll run a 15 or 16.
Is there any kind of a curve Scott Jeffreyon could throw at you at the starting line that might upset your timing?
No, Scott, along with myself and the majority of drivers are pretty clean racers. We don't normally try to influence a race on the starting line with some shenanigans or whatever. It'll be a good, clean race on the starting line. We'll both stage when we're ready, but there will be no deliberate burn down or anything like that.
Okay, everybody, it's pro time in the near lane. Warren Johnson, there is the Mopar Dodge of Scott Jeffreyon doing his burnout. Interesting pair here because, of course, these guys know each other very, very well. Scott Jeffreyon having run as a teammate of Warren Johnson in 1991. Great frustration on the part of Jeffreyon, 6-time runner-up last year. But, of course, Warren Johnson was second runner-up 6 times in his career before winning the championship, Bob Fry.
I don't care what Warren said in that interview a few moments ago. This race will be won on the starting line. Warren's car has been a dog off the starting line. Jeffreyon has had some magnificent lights, and it's really been moving and making some good 60-foot times. So mark it down. You heard it here first. This race is going to be won right on the starting line. Brock?
Okay, Bob, as they get ready to go, that is the in-car camera inside Scott Jeffreyon's Dodge Mopar, a great automobile, enormous ET's capability, Steve Evans, with that automobile.
And the fans are rooting for Scott Jeffreyon. He lives in nearby Huntington Beach, California. Originally from New Jersey, as you said, still trying to win his first ever national event up against the toughest customer in all of pro stock competition. Jeffreyon holding out on the staging process. Jeffreyon won that war. The RPMs will come up. They drop the hammer. It is Warren Johnson away. Scott with a horrible reaction time, the worst of his career possibly. Warren Johnson has won pro stock here at the Cheap Auto Parts Winternationals, and he won it in style. He was a #1 qualifier. He handled them all through eliminations. Let's go to Bob Fry at the starting line with the crew chief.
Well, that one was over early, wasn't it?
Something went wrong there. Somebody shorted out. Apparently Scott had a blink problem. There's a little sun shining on his side of the track. Something went wrong. He's been doing a heck of a job all day, and we were really worried. It's a shame for it to end like that, but I guess you got to take him any way you can.
Great job, great job. Brock, let's take a look at that again on the replay.
Okay, Bob, as Steve said earlier, awful problems on the starting line with Scott Jeffreyon. He could have timed that reaction time with a calendar as Warren Johnson just moved away to a decisive victory here. Warren Johnson running a 724 to a 735, 192 miles an hour for the winner as he goes on to win his first championship of the season. Steve?
I tell you, we talked about reaction times. Boy, he was dead late, and you were gone like a rocket, 724.
Well, I know the run wasn't that well. It started missing about half track. Apparently we broke something internally on the engine, but we got off the starting line. That's all that mattered. I think Scott may have had some trouble. I don't think he was that late.
Okay, congratulations. What a way to start a season.
Thank you very much, Steve.
All right, let's go back to Brock Yates for the pro stock points.
Okay, Steve, the Winston Championship points are brought to you by Craftsman, a line of 1,600 pan tools made in America, guaranteed forever. Here's the first NHRA professional drag race in 1993. The pro stock standings are, of course, Warren Johnson, Scott Jeffreyon in second place. Ray Franks, good run. Kurt Johnson in fourth. Jerry Ekman in this spot.
This special presentation of American Sports Cavalcade is being brought to you by Splitfire, the patented performance spark plug. It only costs more till you use it.
Here in just a couple of minutes, it'll be time for the funny car final. It's time to make some smoke and pound the ground with the fuel coupe. Del Worship, almost 23 years of age, up against maybe everybody's favorite funny car driver, mainly due to his personality and his tenacity, John Force. Stay with us. We'll be right back with the funny car finals.